Hello, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the second session of our forum on the sustainable digital transformation in the Arab region. This morning, we had the chance to listen to some of the challenges and the best practices in the Arab region, moderated by Dr. Bilal Jamousi. And now we're going to have our second session on the topic of circularities and sustainability in cities, communities and regions. And I would like to welcome our moderator, Dr. Leonidas Anthopoulos from Greece. Dr. Anthopoulos is professor and department head of business administration, University of Thessaly, Greece. He has planned and supervised several critical projects, including the smart city of Trikala, and his previous positions included the expert counselor at the Greek Ministry of Foreign Affairs, special advisors of the mayor of Trikala, and ICT project manager at SA Greece. Dr. Anthopoulos is director of the Intelligent Production Systems and Smart Cities Research Institute and the director of the postgraduate program in Agile Management at the University of Thessaly. And of course, Dr. Anthopoulos is a member of numerous committees and working groups and the author and editor of several books. Welcome with us, Dr. Anthopoulos. You are also our rapporteur for question 13 of study group 5. So very much looking forward to an interesting discussion. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Nevin, for this introduction and for welcoming me in this glorious session number 2 regarding circularities and sustainability in cities. Actually, I am not the outstanding person in this session. We are going to have with us two outstanding people that are going to discuss and provide with their insights this really interesting discussion. This session, during this dialogue, we will examine actually the role of circular economy in reducing the environmental impacts of technologies and of other related topics. And I'm really interested in person in listening to their insights, while after the presentations of our remarkable presenters, we are going to have a Q&A section, which makes us really engaged in this discussion and in delivering useful outcomes. So I would like to welcome the first presenter in this session. His name is Dr. Hossam Alam. He is the Regional Director of Sustainable Growth at the Center for Environment and Development for the Arab region in Europe, an international organization which is based in Egypt. Dr. Alam has more than 25 years of international, regional, and national experiences in sustainability, including sustainable consumption and production, green economy, waste management and recycling, sectorial assessment in information and communication technology for development themes. He holds a PhD from the University of Plymouth in UK and an MSc from the University of New Haven in USA. He is a graduate from Ain Shams University Faculty of Engineering. So, Dr. Alam, the floor is yours, and we're looking forward to hearing from you in this session. Welcome.
Thank you for your introduction. I'll share my screen now for the presentation. Okay. First of all, I would like to thank IQ for inviting me for this important session. I hope that we can come up with new information and knowledge between all of us. What I'm going to talk about it is the other side of digital transformation, which is urban minds. Of course, any human action, it has positive impacts and negative impacts. If we don't take care of the negative impacts, this will affect our life quality. The current dilemma, most of the groups are talking about sustainable city or smart city. But I believe what we are looking for is sustainable smart city. This is an important issue because sometimes when you go for more smart issues and not taking into consideration the sustainability dimension, it's a major problem, and vice versa. Smart, let's say, issues is being very well now implemented in a lot of cities, like smart energy management, smart mobility, smart water management, smart public services, smart buildings. We are talking about smart buildings since a long time ago now, and smart data centers now we are talking about. Challenges that we are facing with the digital transformation is the increasing sales of electrical and electronic equipment, and also decreasing their lifetimes. Previously, from more than 10 years ago, maybe the computer it takes like 5 to 10 years as a life span. Now we are talking about 2 years maximum. Material content of these devices has a lot of valuable and energy-intensive precious metals like gold, silver, but also it has toxic materials, very toxic materials. Of course, this pictures has been going with any e-waste presentation for the last 10 to 15 years. I think this young child now is a young man in the 20s, but this actually still going until now. Toxic emissions from burning, of course, especially the cables. Most of the time they burn the cables to get the copper from it, which is very bad behavior and very major toxic emissions. Soil and water contamination from chemical disposal. Most of the time, the informal sector, of course, this has been informal sector practices. They try to get the gold and all the materials by chemicals, and at the end, they throw the chemicals in the drainage or in the canals or on land. And of course, it provides inefficient recovery of precious metals. If for informal sector, any grams of gold is precious, so we don't do the proper recovery of the material. I just give you one example of lithium. Lithium is considered a rare resource on Earth, and just imagine when the vehicles will be in 2035, most of the vehicles will be electronic, which means more batteries, more lithium consumption. So what will happen with such rare resources? This is number of the major hazardous material in most of the electrical and electronic equipment, and all of them, they are very well known and tested and scientifically proved for their damage to the human health. I think the presentation will be available after that. You can come and to see every item of this, what would be the effect on our health, on our children, on our future. Currently, the most available information, it's being available by the Global E-Waste Monitor 2020 report, and ITU is part of the consortium that has produced such reports, so we can just need to know the status. What is the status now? In 2020, we are talking about 53.6 million tons. This is in 2020, and you can see that which continent, let's say, has the major impact of this type of waste, which is Asia, of course. Asia is nearly double the Americas and Europe. So you can see where is going to be the waste management issues challenge. Of course, Africa is still not where some of the Arab countries in Africa is not the major waste generator for e-waste, but the major waste generator for e-waste is Asia and Europe and the Americas. The future, they are anticipating that currently it's 53.6, and 2030 will be 74.7. This can be a major problem, or it can be opportunity, because we are talking about increasing of material that if we have a proper recycling industry, this means more job opportunities, more extracting of materials in a proper way. So this is a major issue for circular economy, is not to have this waste as just to throw it, but to get the most of benefit of it in as economical value and social value. Some information about the Arab countries. We can see in the North African countries, Egypt, Algeria, Morocco are the highest waste generator within North Africa. And actually in Africa, in Asia, Saudi Arabia and Iraq is very well identified as major producer of also of waste, EU electronic waste. So what is our life cycle for managing such an issue? The major component, which is the take-back system of the country. If you don't have a very efficient take-back system for the used equipment or end-of-life equipment, you will not find any refurbishing or better recovery. Refurbishing and then reuse is a major issue with countries that have maybe not a high GDP, because the labor cost will be not high, so they can have more time on refurbishing the equipment. Meta recovery most of the time is being done with countries that the labor is very high in salaries, so they go directly to the meta recovering and sorting and recycling, and then going back to the manufacture cycle. This is normally the electronic waste life cycle in any country. And the main problem, of course, comes when there is the informal sector and there is no regulations. So you cannot get the most of it, get the most job opportunities, get the most of the metal recovery percentage of the material. As I'm saying, the US proper management benefits increase job opportunities. Extracting precious material, as I was saying, gold, silver, lithium. Refurbishment reduce energy consumption because providing new or producing new equipment consume more energy than refurbishing. So this is a major issue also that can assist in the climate change issue as we are talking about. This just to give you an example. This about Egypt is a project that has been done from maybe I think it was 2014, and it tried to anticipate how much precious material, especially gold and silver, in the equipment that was imported to Egypt before 2014 for 10 years, and it showed that that we can, if we made a very good collection system for all the equipment that has been imported. We are talking about 9 tons of gold, which is nearly now by the price of current prices $500 million dollars. Silver the same, 120 tons, which is around $86 million dollars. So this you can let's say identify how much job opportunities is being wasted if there is no good collection system. Just finally, by a case study on Egypt also. Currently, Egypt is one of the countries of the Sustainable Recycling Industries Swiss program, where they are e-waste is now considered one of the pillars of the digital transformation strategy, the National Digital Transformation Strategy of Egypt. They have e-waste management as one of the pillars. I think it was the 5th pillar of this strategy. So it's very important when any country has a strategy for digital transformation is to include e-waste management as one of the pillars. One of the main issues also that was very important is updating the formal recycling definition. When you go to most of the countries, you identify formal and informal. And actually, formal, when we start this investigation, at that time, formal is only just having registration in the government only. But we update this and we identify that to be a formal e-waste recycling, this means that you need to be capable of doing safe recycling. So now formal recyclers in Egypt need to have, of course, all the commercial registration, but also to have accreditation from the Ministry of Environment. They are capable of doing safe recycling. Egypt has now, as we are talking about the National Digital Transformation Program, they are focusing on the refurbishing issue because they anticipate in the coming 5 years they were going to use or need a huge amount of laptops and computers. So going for establishing a collection or refurbishment center for the governmental equipment is one of the activities that now the Ministry of ICT is doing in Egypt. Regulations is a very crucial issue, and currently there is a new law for waste management that includes e-waste, and this is very important because when you go for e-waste and identify it as hazardous material only, it will be a very negative impact on the formal sector, because they will need to do a lot of, let's say, transferring the computers in specific vehicles that have permission of hazardous material, which is very costly. So now the new regulations is identifying that there is hazardous according to circumstances, which is mean that the equipment is hazardous when it enters the recycling. That's only when it goes for dismantling, which is this is what's happening in most of the countries. Capacity building, of course, is a major issue, and currently Egypt is doing actually as we speak training of trainers on e-waste management that's going to be provided by the technological universities in Egypt, and of course without proper human resources you will not be able to implement a proper system. I think I finished my 12 minutes, or thank you for every thing that you have been listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this interesting and useful presentation and for all the information that you provided to this session. So we will have the chance to collect questions and provide with some answers during the Q&A session. Now I would like to give the floor to our second speaker, Dr. Paulo Gemma, a valuable colleague who plays an active role in international standardization activities. Since 1993, he has been engaged in ETSI. This is the European Telecommunication Standard Institute activities, and he also participates in the development of EMC standards. In 1997, Dr. Gemma joined the ITU Study Group 5 on Environment, Climate Change and Circular Economy as a rapporteur, and he is now the chairman of Working Party 2, entitled Environment, Energy Efficiency and the Circular Economy. He is also vice chairman of the United for Smart Sustainable Cities initiative in the ITU again, and the co-chairman of Focus Group on Environmental Efficiency for Artificial Intelligence and other emerging technologies at the ITU. So, Paulo, welcome to this session. You have the floor to give your presentation.
Okay. I have the impression that there is something strange. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can. Paulo.
Okay. Okay, good. Okay. Thank you to invite me to make the presentation on ITU standard, helping to achieve the circularity and sustainability. I hope not to be too much heavy on this session on standard. Okay, the first point, okay, we are speaking about e-waste. Also, we see before something about e-waste. And what is the situation that we see is that the world, all of us is producing approximately 50 megaton on e-waste in 1 year. And the global e-waste will reach in 2050 around 120 megaton. This is something that will be a very big problem if it's not properly managed. So, and I said the rate of e-waste will become a very big issue in the past in most countries due to the big increase of ICT, because any piece that we are using will become unlikely e-waste after some time. So this is why we need the shift to circular economy And this is circular economy can help on this, because the idea is coming from a linear economy when we take a resource, we use in some way, using renewable or non-renewable resource, and then we put on disposal in the land on incinerate. Moving to circular economy means that we reuse the resources that we use initially as what we call a primary raw material, like it could be, I don't know, steel, plastic, so on, to build new equipment after the equipment go on end of life, and just a very, very small portion of the material go to disposal and incineration, because cannot be recovery or recycled and so on. So it's a completely a big change of mentality, because it means that we move to a completely different way to work, to produce equipment, and to use, and also to dispose, because one of the big points is also that to be recovered, someone need to collect all the user equipment. This means also an idea about the extension of life of product. That means a product that can work for a long time, can be repaired easily, and maybe can be reused in another way. For example, in some project, there is the idea to use a smartphone just connected to some sensor to monitor forest and so on. This is a reuse of the existing product. Moving on, okay, what is ITU Study Group 5? I don't know if I have some delay to show what I'm looking. Yes. ITU Study Group 5 is looking on 3 big topics: electromagnetic compatibility, protection to lighting from atmosphere, that is becoming a very big issue looking on the climate change effect, and electromagnetic effect, that means protection from electromagnetic field, human protection for electromagnetic field. Then we look on ICT related to environment, climate change, energy efficiency, and clean energy, which is our topic. And at the last is what we are discussing today about circular economy, including e-waste. We are part of the ITT standardization sector, and we are responsible for all of these 3 big topics. We are divided in working party and question. We are the leading group for what I said before. So we have our working party 1 dedicated to SC, lightning protection, and EMF with 4 questions. And the working party 2, where I am the chairman of this working party, that is dedicated to the environmental, energy efficient, and the circular economy. We have 6 questions that you see here. One is more dedicated to the efficiency of digital technology, another on e-waste, on climate change assessment of digital technology in the framework of sustainable development goal and Paris agreements, climate change mitigation, smart energy solution, adaptation to climate change through sustainable resilient digital technology, and the last, that Leonis know very well, on building circular and sustainable city and community. And then, okay, there is a question looking on terminology, on dictionary. So to collect all the terms that we are using to check if they are okay, and to manage all of this terminology. We have said before, question 7 is dedicated to e-waste. This is a question that is dedicated to e-waste, circular economy, and sustainable supply chain management. And the idea is to look, to study how to address the e-waste challenge by identifying the environmental requirement of digital technology product, solution, and network installation, including IoT, and user equipment, and ICT infrastructure installation. When we speak about ICT infrastructure installation, we move from base station or home installation to big central office and to data center. So all of this is based on the circular economy principle and how to improve the supply chain management, always to have a more environmental friendly supply chain management. So looking always on the environmental point. So we are not looking on supply chain management on business, on economic value, but we are looking from the perspective of the environmental impact and how supply chain management can reduce the impact of all the chain of ICT sector. We have different recommendations. This is one, the first that we produce on circular economy. It is ITUT L1020 that is implementing a circular business model. So it gives some idea, some requirement on how operator and their supplier can agree on a business model for the circularity. So the idea is to reduce, to extend, recycle, reuse, and energy efficiency. This is the 5 points that was covered on this recommendation. That is like an agreement between the two parts, the operator and their supplier. So what we can do together to implement the circular economy and to have a better ICT solution installation that respect the environment. The major concepts that are inside, are the circular economy, the resource efficiency, and the material efficiency. So we are looking not only on circular economy, but also on how we use efficiency, the resource, and how we use efficiency, the material. This is the 3 concepts that are inside on this recommendation. The other that we have released in short time is the L1023, that is, okay, we have defined what is a circular economy, we have found an agreement between different actors on how to implement circular economy. Now we want a methodology to see if a product is, how much is circular. So we have an assessment method for circular scoring. And this is a 3-step methodology to identify ICT circularity in 3 dimensions via the circular design group. So we are following this circular design guideline group. What is inside of this? We have 3 main areas of focus. One is the product durability, the ability to recycle, repair, reuse, upgrade, what is called the 3 RUE at the Kimpen level, and the ability to recycle, repair, reuse, upgrade, the 3M at the manufacturer level. So the first means promoting a lifespan and durability of product. The design needs to adapt and study the possibility of upgrade the product to be an extended life of the product. So it's not good that a product after some year will become obsolete, maybe because the software upgrade is not possible to do. Say, our last point, the service support to the first user and to all the other users. So if I resell my equipment that I am using, also the people that buy from me can have the support from the manufacturer to repair and to reuse the equipment. The possibility to refurbish, to repair, to reuse product entirely, some part or some component, to build other solution, other product. And the easy way to identify, separate, and recycle the material inside the product. So this is something that need the recycler to be clearly separate the material, identify clearly which are the different material, and so on. And then the capability of manufacturer or on company level to facilitate the recycling, the repair, reuse, and agree. So what the manufacturer need to give as information, as help, as availability of a component to facilitate the repair, the reuse, and the recycle. That means give information on how to separate the material. This is an idea on what these are on the free group. Like you see in the product durability, there is, okay, as I said before, as my example, the software and data support, the resistance of the product, have a maintenance support. Is a stupid question. I have the battery for portable ICT good. I need to, if I want to have a durability of a product of a number 15 years, I need to take care that for 15 years I can find the battery differently. The product could be work for 15 years. If I have no battery, the product at the end don't work. Then the ability to recycle, and then here there is a list of what are the points that are considered. And then the ability to recycle, that is, as I said before, which is, for example, which are the service offered by manufacturer. The spare part, the availability of part to repair the equipment, and so on. Apply all of this, the three-step estimator the relevance of each guideline to the product, the positive effect for customer, environment, etc., incorporated the guideline on that criteria, the evolution of the margin of improvement for product design, and at the end, there is a calculated score as a combination of the two criteria, the margin of improvement and the relevance. Looking on this, we will create a matrix like this with some point from this is the relevance and this is the margin of improvement, and you will obtain which is the score that you have on your product. Obviously 100 is the best. We hope that in the future a lot of products are on this side and not on the other, and not on zero, just to give a very good circular product, to have a very good circular product in the future. Moving on other recommendation, another is just to a way to simplify a little the assessment of environmental impact of solution before to implement the solution. So the idea is to have a methodology to identify the key equipment in order to assess the environmental impact and the waste generation different network architecture. The idea is just to have, okay, the recommendation examine 3 types of network architecture and suggest some appropriate set of equipment to be considered for each of these architecture. And the idea is to have a support, to give a support to the designer of a network, to design a solution before that they are implemented. Because after that they are implemented, also if you make a very good LCA analysis of the solution, but at that point is implemented. If the result is very bad, you cannot destroy the solution and rebuild from zero. So it's better to have some easy tool, some tool to determine before the environmental and circular performance of possible different network architecture, before that you build. And this is an idea to give a tool to permit to, you said, choice in more environmental conscious way an architecture of a network of a solution. Now we are working, it is the last that I think is very important because it's connected to all what I said before, the circularity agreement, the assessment of the circularity and so on. And to define a global digital sustainable product passport, thinking to go to circular economy. So the idea is to define the requirement on reporting, which are the key aspects that I need to insert on a product. Product passport is like information for the product. Passport is more easy to understand what is a document that will contain all the information on the product that are relevant to circularity and transparent of ICT of digital technology in some digital format. The idea is to have not only to facilitate autonomy and automatize the comparison of different ICT products on circular aspect, but also facilitate the reuse and the preparation of a product for a second hand market and the reverse supply chain, because it's a way to give clearly information in a standardized way to the people that are working on the reuse in the second hand market and in the reverse supply chain for any product. Our thinking is that this can help manufacturer, government, user to implement voluntary reporting and also to monitoring the mechanism to assess the quality and become an incentive to design and use more circular product. Now we are moving to the other question. Question 1313 is a new question, totally new question, with an idea on what is necessary to do to build a circular and sustainable city and community. The idea of this question, that is the rapporteur is my friend Leonidas, is to develop a standard guidance, supplement, and technical report, identify the requirement and guidance and so on innovative framework and to support the transition to a circular city. What is necessary to do, what is necessary to have, and which are the best practices that are available, or which guideline we can give to improve the sustainability of city and community. And second, how the circularity in city improve the sustainability and the climate resilience of our cities and community. And that is to look on circular economy principle in different city assets, not only in some, but for example, in building, transport, water, energy, digital and public infrastructure, the waste management, that is linked always to the circular economy, the natural resource management that are very, very important on city and community, and so on. And this is all from my side. I hope to see a lot of you in our discussion in study group 5 to develop all what I show you now, and maybe other aspects that we are not considered for the environmental sustainability, for the climate change, the resilience to the climate change, and so on. Thank you very much to you.
Thank you so much, Paulo, for this interesting and full presentation that provided with useful inputs about standardization in the domain of circularity. Actually, I would like to thank both the presenters for their insights and the inputs that they gave to the session. Let me just briefly present what we heard today. First, from Dr. Alam, we heard about urban mines, which is the other dimension of digital transformation. He mentioned the problem of inefficient recovery of precious metals during the e-waste management, which is a crucial challenge that already exists and is expected to give to the planet enormous amount of waste, of e-waste actually. And he also presented the proper, let's say, the optimal e-waste management process, which is expected to provide to increase job opportunities, to extract precious material and reduce emissions coming out from this e-waste management process. And he also provided useful inputs about what really happens in Egypt and how it is prepared to become, let's say, a good example for the international area. Then we heard Paulo Gemma, who gave us information about what the ITU and the international standards do during this period in terms of circularity. Actually, this work is expected to increase the product life cycle, and he presented us the scope of study group 5 and the structure in terms of questions in working groups. He provided us with an analysis of question number 7, which focuses on e-waste circular economy. What really was interesting was the circular business model and the material process and the three steps methodology that it is expected to increase the product durability and the ability to recycle and reuse. He also presented us the context of the draft recommendation number 1050, which is a methodology to identify the key equipment to assess the environmental impact of e-waste generation of different network architectures, with 3 types of network architectures that can be adopted, and about another draft recommendation which gives us requirements for global digital sustainable product passport, which is really interesting, and it remains to see how it can improve the global market of circularity. So now we are during the Q&A session. After my revision of what we heard, we have already 2 questions that I could give to our remarkable presenters. How about starting like that, Dr. Alam? So the first question that I would like to ask to you is, what is the importance of having proper e-waste management in the Arab countries? So the floor is yours.
Thank you, Renat. Actually, as I presented, that job opportunities is a major issue now, and with the acceleration of development and the acceleration of utilizing more ICT equipment, this means that you will need to have more human resources capable of handling such type of, let's say, sector. Waste management does not, or e-waste is starting by the time that the equipment is imported to the country. So you will need a lot of HR that can be talented in EPR systems, that they can establish EPR systems that can pay for the recycling and the use at the end of the life of the products. So this is a crucial issue, as you maybe most of the Arab countries, they have a huge acceleration of population. So having such type of sector in Egypt is very crucial, or not Egypt, only the Arab countries, can be a very positive impact on job opportunities. And actually, most of the time that handling waste management is not economically feasible on a national level. It needs to be more on a regional level. So I think that collection on a national level, but for having an economical, positive economy for this, needs to be in a regional hub, not only for the Arab countries, but can be also for Africa, for Europe, also as the labor cost is much less in these countries. Also, when you are going for, let's say, reuse, you are also minimizing the expenses of purchasing new equipment. We just have an estimation of the Ministry of ICT in Egypt that they were going to, let's say, have like 25,000 laptops or PC, and if you just have $500 per item, which means $10 million. And of course, when we make the adjustment and to see how much can be consumed for having this governmental collection and refurbished center, it's much less. So on the budget economy, on the budget level for the government is also a positive indicator for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Alam. This really makes sense and gives a lot of opportunities for the future, I guess, for all the countries. Paulo, I have a question for you. What is necessary to define circular economy, and what aspects should be taken into consideration for circular economy?
So circular, thanks, Leonis. Circular economy is a very big word with a lot of, until now, not clear aspect. So it's necessary to define clearly what means the circular economy, what means the material efficiency, what is resource efficiency, what means have recycler material. Actually, we have no standard to define from the product characteristic, for the material characteristic, some of the recycled material. As if I look on steel, we have a lot of standards that define the quality of steel that is just new, but not more on the recycled quantity and so on. This is something that needs to be defined, standardized in some way, not maybe from ITU or from other standard. From ITU, we need to define clearly what is design for circularity, which are the aspects that is necessary to consider to be circular. And sure, we need to define clearly all the e-waste support management to the circularity. As Osman answered before about why we need e-waste management in Arab country, we said clearly that if we don't have e-waste management, we will not have a circular economy. Because one of the points, if I want to use recycling material, I need to have a recycling material in some way. So I need to collect and then recycle. It's impossible to recycle something that I don't have. This is all what is necessary to standardize and define for circularity.
Thank you, Paulo. Indeed, we have to run the entire process in order to do this, and this is really something promising. So I would like to ask the second question to both of you. The first one for Dr. Alam. What do you think is the roadmap for establishing proper waste management as you presented to us?
Well, actually, the first, let's say, task of the roadmap is regulations. The country does not have any national regulations for recycling, or especially for e-waste management. This will be a very negative impact on the formal sector. You will not be able to have a formal recycling sector. So first issue is the regulations. Of course, not second, but maybe in parallel also capacity building. This is a new area. And when I'm talking about a new area, I'm talking about proper safe recycling, because we can make the informal sector is talented in recycling, but it's in very unsafe behavior. So having a proper human resources handling safe recycling or identifying the right way of refurbishing, this is very crucial. So capacity building is very important. So regulation and capacity building are the base of any roadmap. After that, it's according to regulation that the country will say, okay, we will need to have incentive for private sector to enter. So private sector issues will need to be handled, or the government will do it on its own. This is also another issue. So strategies and establishing a strategy by the government is very crucial. So this can be, the private sector can know, will they have a role in this sector or not? So establishing a strategy is very important. And after that, of course, an action plan with very clear targets, and not only just any targets, but applicable targets. As you can see, anything can happen. We had the COVID stopped the whole world for 2 years around. So this we need to have a very risk management also issue. for such type, because the COVID has increased the usage of IT, let's say ICT equipment. So this is just one issue, and our webinar now is just an example. My friend Paulo, we did not meet, I think, for more than 5 years now, but we met again with this ICT. So very important, reliable, applicable action plan need to be identified. I think this is the basis for any roadmap to be established.
Thank you, Dr. Alam. It really makes sense. Thank you for this input. And Paulo, which should be the contribution of international standards to implement circular economy around the world?
The contribution for international standard is to have a clear vision, to define clearly what is the circular economy, which are the different aspects, what we can internationally agree, because if we can have only one solution and only one standard, will be a beneficial for all over the world. This is the main contribution of standardization in all the aspects, not only in circular economy. So to have only one clear definition on what is for example, a recycled plastic, how to recycle the plastic. This is the big contribution that standardization can give to implement circular economy, and also to implement e-waste. So have only one way to make something, if I said in clear word. And this is something that we can do if we have a contribution from all the part of the world, also from Arab region. It's very important to have the contribution from Arab region, because, okay, I am Italian, Leonidas is Greece, Osman is Egypt. We can give our vision to a standard, to a solution. So we need also the vision of all other people. On this way, we can have an international standard that is accepted by all the countries, by all the people. And we said that if we have a unique solution, we'll decrease the cost, we will be easy to implement, it will be easy to develop a product and a service. If we have different solutions, different from country to country, this become a very big issue. But also in waste management, if you think to have different regulation in any country, not a unique regulation, maybe based on what we will develop on e-waste as a framework, this will be a problem to reduce the cost from industry, but also for government, because a unique solution will simplify the bureaucracy, will give a more possibility to use the recycled material to export our best practice from one country to another country. And this is a very big rule of standardization, but also on city level. Why not to share experience from one city to another? This not mean that I need to oblige a city in the Arab to adopt the model of Rome, of Italian country. No, look on what is possible to reuse in another city.
You are absolutely right, Paulo. Locality always affects decision making, and of course, it has to, all local areas have to adopt globally agreed standards and guidelines. So collecting your replies to these two questions, I noticed that we have some central points like strategy and vision for e-waste and circularity. We need capacity to run process, which in my understanding have to follow internationally agreed rules. I take a look on Q&As from the audience, but we don't have some. We have, let's say, a few minutes. I don't know, Nevin, if can help us out with that. What makes me concerned, actually, after watching carefully your presentations, have to do with size. The size of this phenomenon is impressing, actually. we're discussing about millions of tons of waste. We are discussing about millions of dollars in terms of gold and of precious metals in general. And we also focus on regional initiatives that can supervise all these processes. What makes me concerned is the existence of embedded intelligence, whose life cycle is unaware at this moment. Let's say the huge batteries that are going to be located in buildings or fleets of autonomous vehicles. So I don't know if any of the countries that you are involved in have some input to give us about their e-waste planning or the calculation, the assessment of their reusability and reuse. What do you think, Hossam? Do you have any inputs about the embedded intelligence? And I will give the floor to Nevin after that. Sorry, you have to unmute.
Yeah, so in Egypt, as I presented that the digital transformation strategy, it has a component on e-waste management. So this is very crucial for any country that's implementing digital transformation to include this in the strategy, because without this, nobody will care about the e-waste unless it's in the informal sector. So it's very crucial having the strategy including the e-waste. Egypt, United Arab Emirates, they start to have plans for recycling in cooperation, I think, with the Swiss. So it's coming, but as we are saying, we need to have it in very regional platform to be more efficient and economical. Because if it's on national level only, let's say it will not be economically positive unless the collection is very huge. So countries with much less population, they will not have such positive economical sector for e-waste management. So this needs regional cooperation. Very important for this issue. Thank you.
Alan. How about you, Paulo? Do you have any inputs from cases about the embedded technology that needs to be planned and recycled?
We need to think on the future, as said my friend Hosman. When we speak about digital transformation, we need to include all, sure, but we need also to teach people on which are the consequences of their action. This is very important if we want to have a very good collection. Differently, if people continue to maintain their used equipment at home or put in normal waste, will be no collection. So we need to look to the young generation, and there are countries have a lot of young generation that can help on this because they are more they are more able to understand this, they are more open to this. Sure, we need to look on this, we need to look on e-waste because it's a very big issue, and maybe also to look on a different way to use our technology. To be a little more, my company will kill me, but maybe buy less new equipment, use more of the equipment that we have. If we want to have a transformation of the world, is a step-by-step strategy. And what I agree on what Osman said, we need to have a regional agreement on waste management, especially on recycling. This is, I coming from Europe. Also in Europe, we have not all the recycling facility in any country, because some recycling facility, to be economic, they need a very, very big volume of material to recycle. But on regional level, this could be help, maybe separate different recycling industry on different countries to say maybe one recycler, I don't know, the steel, one other the battery, one other the video, the TV screen, and so on. This means useful and sustainable also from economic point of view way to implement the recycle.
Thank you. You also mentioned education and private partnerships. The overall process can be run in circles. Thank you, Paulo. So, Nevin, I think you have a question to the presenter, or you need to make a remark. You have the floor.
Thank you very much. I'm actually using my prerogative as MC to raise my hand because I do not have the right actually to write in the chat the questions. So my apology for that. And I had a remark and a question, and the remark is about, of course, the search in the establishment of smart sustainable cities in our region, and particularly, of course, in Egypt. And maybe a question to Paulo about the work of the United for Smart and Sustainable Cities and how it could help countries like Egypt in their quest for sustainability in their new urban settlements. Thank you. I'm talking about the sustainability part in particular. The other sides are covered
by other.
Yeah.
The United for Smart Sustainable City is a group that in reality share experience, found a very good guideline on how to implement different aspects of smart sustainable city. So they can help Egypt city, but also other city in the world, just to sharing experience and to have an agreement on maybe only on some aspect. There is a work on circularity of the city. There is one work on how to collect fund. So they have a very, if we want to say, a very practical vision from different cities, because in the United for Smart Sustainable City, there is really cities that are working on that to find a minimum background on how to implement a smart sustainable city. We speak about circularity in the city. This is a very important point, but to implement circularity in the city, we need money. So the idea to have a shared experience on how to collect funds to implement a project in a cities is very important, because it can help a municipality to look on new possibility to have found to start some project to become a little more smart and sustainable in the city level. This is the rule of United for Smart Sustainable City Group. That is a very big initiative from a lot of UN agency with a lot of people that is working inside. And I hope that also maybe some new city from Arab country will join us on that group.
Thank you, Nevin. Thank you, Paulo, for your answer. Actually, I don't see any other question. Perhaps we can think of the usefulness of the calculation of the circular ability that a product has, and perhaps we can define an observatory or a dashboard for products, and think of the impact that that this calculation can have to the market and perhaps to the cities in general. So I don't know if this would be an idea. Actually, we have 5 minutes before the end of this really interesting session.
Could be impact, sure, because if we give a score for circularity, sorry, and could be a way to make consumer people to a little more aware on what will be the consequence when we buy a product. Like actually there is the label in some product for the energy efficiency point of view, a similar on circularity, I'm sorry for my English, will help. The issue is have convinced people to look on that aspect and not only on money, because circular economy will have also an impact on the cost of the product. And the big challenge is to not have things increase the cost too much, because differently will be the circular economy will never start if the increase of the cost will be too big. need to be reasonable on this point of view.
Thank you, Paulo. What do you think, Hossam? Do you think that an observatory in the Arab region, in calculating the circularity of products or maybe of processes of cities, would help the strategic definition maybe improve their performance? You're muted, Alan.
Okay. Yeah, it's crucial to know the status. And this is, we always say what you cannot monitor, you cannot manage it. So to monitor the issue, you need to have clear information. But I just would like to highlight one of the main issues that I think is very important for recycling, which is standards. I just recall the success story of the replacing chargers. Maybe most of the participants are young, but we came at the time where every mobile phone company has its own charger. So this was a huge amount of chargers need to be recycled until I think the ITU had the standards for standard charger system, which is now all the mobile phones has a standard charger. So this is a very crucial, important issue for standardization of producing the equipment. If the equipment is being produced, let's say, with a very easy way to dismantle, this will make more recycling efficient. Instead of having more time in dismantling the equipment, no, you will take just 1 minute, 2 minutes just for dismantling. So standards is very crucial for enhancing the recycling component, which is a big issue in circular economy. Thank you.
Thank you, Hossam. Thank you again for providing these useful remarks. So, Paulo and Hossam, we were on time. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for your useful insights. I hope to meet you in person soon again. And Nevin, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Leonidas. Very interesting session and also very interesting questions that you have raised. You have opened up such a broad scheme of thoughts and ideas that will be useful for us in our discussions also in standard setting. I would like to also thank the panelists, and now I would like actually to invite the chairman of the Arab Regional Group of Study Group 5, Mrs. Iman Farouk, to present the closing remarks to our forum today. Iman, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you, Naveen. Thank you for the excellent moderation and lead session. As we are coming to close, allow me to once again share a few words with you. Today we have discussed in length the opportunities and challenge of sustainable digital transformation in Arab region. We have also discussed how the circular economy can leverage to achieve sustainable digital transformation. ITUT Study Group 5 for the Arab region offers a collaborative platform where members from the region can contribute to the standard development process in Study Group 5. Looking forward, the meeting of Study Group 5, a regional group for the Arab region, will take place shortly afterward. I hope to see some of you there. Also, a quick reminder that this is the second day of Sustainable Digital Transformation Dialogue. Tomorrow, there will be another Sustainable Digital Transformation Dialogue, which will focus on exploring the role of the digital transformation in the Latin American region. This event will be held in Spanish only. It will also look different aspects of sustainable digital transformation. Specifically, it will look at the growing electronic waste challenge and how cities and communities can tackle this challenge using standards. Please also be informed that the recording and all presentation today will be made available on our website within the next couple of days. If you have any question or suggestion, please feel free to reach out to us. Once again, I want to thank all the speakers, moderator, and participants for your participation and I hope that you find today's discussion informative and useful. Thank you so much for your time and have a good rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Iman, for your closing remarks. Once again, this is a reminder that the Arab Regional Group will meet at 2 p.m. Geneva time today, remotely also for a discussion. And looking forward to your participation tomorrow in the Latin America Regional Group. If you speak Spanish, thank you very much, and the session is closed. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.